Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I just got my Skypad 3.0. Let's check it out. Alright guys, so I kind of just want to get right into the Skypad 3.0. First and foremost, I'm just going to flat out come out and say that this is the best hard pad on the market right now. I personally can't see any other hard pad that competes with the Skypad 3.0 in this space just because other hard pads kind of diminish over time. And this surface will last you presumably what would be forever, unless you somehow have a harder surface than glass on it and you scratch the glass. As far as PTFE skates, you're not going to have that issue, so I do think that for the longevity and endurance of the pad, as well as the playability of the surface, it is one of the best hard pads that you will get. I do think that the price is a little bit high for an entry price for the pad, but the work product here is very, very good. As far as the surface itself, I do want to throw up some Apex gameplay clips here, and I want to talk about what I personally prefer about the pad with tracking type movements in Apex. Jumping into it, the pad has low initial friction, and while you are moving, the static friction is low and the dynamic friction is low. It is certainly lower than the Skypad 2.0, and personally what that does for my aim, I feel very, very controlled of my own movements, but I kind of use my wrist as an anchor point, and I kind of more so wrist aim on this pad than arm aim or any sort of lifting off the pad and having wide sweeping movements. I think if you are one of those types of players who has those movements, the mouse pad might be a little less controlled for you than you might prefer, in which case the Skypad 2.0 might be a little bit better for you. But the 3.0 for me, since I am able to have an anchor point and gain that control with that, the pad is just another level over the 2.0 of control of your own movements, especially your tracking in something like Apex Legends and your inner hand movements with your mouse. As far as things like Tac Shooters like CS and Valorant, because my movements are very, very calculated and slow and controlled, I also do think that the pad is good for Tac Shooters. I didn't lose anything using the pad in Tac Shooters. But again, anybody with fidgety movements or anybody who has shaky hands, I don't necessarily think a lower friction pad is going to be something that might benefit you. So you do need to, if you're going to spend the money on the pad, realize you're getting into something that has very, very low friction, and it's something that you will need to utilize yourself as control instead of relying on the pad or the pad surface. Even though I do believe that this pad is an upgrade over the Skypad 2.0, there are things I don't like about the pad and things I noticed about the pad that I do need to point out to you all. Because of its increased size, there is a little bit of flex in the middle when you are applying downward pressure on the pad. I don't think you're going to feel that in game, but certainly anybody who uses more pressure than I do might recognize that while they are playing. And certain skates just do not sound good on this pad. The default Phantom skates kind of sound very, very scratchy on the pad utilizing circular movements. And even the Aerox skates, you can get quite a bit of scratchiness. And it's just not that pleasant when you are trying to utilize the pad with a casual scenario. If you're browsing the web, you're browsing YouTube and you have your headphones off, you can hear that scratchiness and it kind of hits you like nails on a chalkboard. Now, you can avoid that by keeping the pad clean. You can just get a microfiber cloth and make sure the skates are clean, the pad is clean, and it kind of fixes that issue. But it will pop up as dust accumulates, particles get onto the pad, or hair gets onto the pad. But I do think it's a little bit better than the 2.0 as far as when a hair gets on your skates in game. I don't feel it quite as much as I did on the 2.0, but it is still noticeable. And also, one of the questions is going to become, now that glass skates are out for particular mice, do I like glass on cloth or do I like PTFE on glass? I haven't really been able to make that determination yet, but I think for overall use, I do think that I would prefer glass skates on something like cloth. I think that playing every day on a hard pad just becomes not quite as comfortable as one might like, and the experience of glass skates on something like a cloth pad, it does give me a very, very similar feeling as using a Skypad. For instance, the prototypes on my G Pro Superlight from Pulsar gives me a very, very floaty experience that kind of mimics how I feel on the Skypad. And certainly if you already have a cloth pad, the glass skates are a lot more affordable than swapping full core to a Skypad, which of course will wear down your PTFE skates quite frequently and you will need to replace them. So I think from a cost perspective, I would rather use glass skates on a cloth pad. And I think for a comfort perspective and just a similar playability on both, I think that for me personally, my choice would probably be glass skates on a cloth pad. And there really isn't a whole lot else for me to say about the pad. I think the increased size at 500 by 400 millimeters is definitely beneficial compared to the 2.0. I thought I had plenty of space. I never ran out of space. As far as the default skates on my medium Final Mouse, they felt good on the pad out of the box. And my SteelSeries skates feel good on the pad. Really, all the skates that I tried, even the default Zowie skates, felt good on the pad. Just a buttery smoothness over playing with certain skates on cloth pads. But again, if you are somebody who gets deterred from that scratchiness, if you are somebody who isn't going to like that for general use, or you already have a Skypad 2.0, I don't know if I would recommend a full swap given the entry price of the pad. But it is definitely, in my opinion, the best hard pad currently on the market. It is buttery smooth and it is very fun to use. And they did fix one of the biggest complaints with the Skypad 2.0, the thickness of the pad. This is very, very thin and does not catch your arm when you are using the pad. And one of the nicest size hard pads that I know of on the market. I do think, though, that we are entering new territory and a new era of glass skates, and glass skates like the prototype that I have on my G Pro Superlight, even on a bad cloth pad, kind of mimic the playability and the feel of PTFE on glass. So it really depends how much money you want to spend, how badly do you want to experiment with PTFE on glass or glass on cloth, and really that decision boils down with you. I think I'm leaning one way over the other, but the pad is exceptionally good. Again, #1 hard pad in my personal opinion. And if you are looking for a hard pad or you're looking for a pad that is going to last you a lifetime if you take care of it and you don't scratch it with something harder than glass, the Skypad 3.0 is definitely a recommendable pad as long as that price point fits your budget. If that helped, guys, please leave a subscription to the channel and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.